Warning, this podcast contains themes of extreme violence and murder. Subject matter may be offensive to some listeners. Discretion advised.
Welcome to another episode of Evil Transgression, your homicide headquarters here in podcasting. I'm Josh, and with me as always, Dustin and Rex.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, what's up?
That one took a minute.
Apparently.
I just see you like plucking like nose hairs or something. What?
Yeah.
There was something
what
on my
was
shirt. I was trying to figure out what it was.
Huh. Your boyfriend?
You were investigating it. Investigating it. So, Dustin, why don't you go ahead and tell me what's up? Tell me how's it going? What you got any news? We don't care, Rex. Why don't you go ahead and give us some news, buddy?
Well, I'd say the big news is Stacy's almost 17 weeks pregnant.
There you go.
Yeah.
Our very own Evil Transgression.
That's
baby.
right.
Did you already name it, Josh?
It was Bartholomew. Hold on, I have it somewhere. It's Bartholomew. Oh man, it was a great name.
Bartholomew.
Yeah, we're gonna call him Baby Bart.
But what if I told you it's actually a girl and we're naming her Rexanne?
Ooh, actually,
Rexanne, you don't have to put on the red light. Rexanne.
That's a real name because I've been joking around with the family about that, and we got a baby book, and it actually has Rexanne in it. It means queen. Rex means king. Rexanne means queen.
You should totally do that.
Yes.
I think you should.
But what if you, like, say you gave her, what's your middle name?
Christopher.
What if you did Christina? Would it be a junior?
No, but I've been floating that around. Something like that. So she at least has part of my name, you know. So
your name's
we'll
hard to.
So hard.
Kind of hard to put into a girl's name.
Right, it is. But like you said, Christopher, you got Christine, Krista.
Yeah.
So there's a few.
Josh.
So we were. I told Rex that we have I had a great idea on a gender reveal party where Rex invites all these people because everybody's just starting that's the craze, these gender reveal parties.
Yes.
I mean, it's not as big as it was like maybe a year or so ago, but I think we can bring it back. We're not going to do just a normal one. We'll have Rex bring all of his friends and family over, and they have they're like eating hors d'oeuvres and stuff. But Josh and Dustin aren't in the room, right? We're here, but we're not in the room. And Rex is like, "What's that pitter patter on the roof?" Everyone outside. They go out to Rex's front yard, and lo and behold, up on the roof is Josh and Dustin. We wave it. Once we have everybody's attention, we turn around, drop our pants, and our ass cheeks are painted either blue or pink.
Yes.
That's a good one.
It is.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
I think so.
It's wonderful.
That would definitely go viral.
Oh, yeah. It would. Maybe that's what we need to really make it big.
Paint our ass cheeks.
Yeah.
Bartholomew Jasper
Huh.
is what we named it.
Jasper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. BJ's. BJS. Oh, God.
Perfect.
That would be perfect for you.
It would. Definitely.
So I got some evil facts for you today.
Okay.
Because we're gonna touch base on the case we talked about the episode before with the Idaho murders. And in that case, there was some DNA that links our suspect.
Mm-hmm.
So, along those lines, let's talk a little bit about DNA.
Yeah.
And have you guys ever heard of the Innocence Project?
Yes.
They use a lot of DNA to get convicted murderers or accused murderers off of.
Now they just use Ancestry.com.
Pretty much. Yeah. So, according to the Innocence Project, the first DNA exoneration took place in 1989. Which really doesn't seem like that long ago.
33 years ago.
Boy, you did some quick math.
Wow.
I was born in 88.
That's
So
actually-
you're off.
It was actually 34 years ago.
Well, I'm 34.
Okay. The number of DNA exonerees as of 2020, so 3 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
that's the latest numbers we got, 375.
Wow.
So 375 people, they were like, we got them.
Mm-hmm.
And then DNA comes out and they're like, damn, we was wrong.
Imagine how many people got put to death that didn't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's possible.
I know one.
The number of exonerees who pleaded guilty to crimes they did not commit, 44.
Really?
Probably get a lesser sentence or something, or
I don't understand why
Probably.
people do that. I
Yeah.
know they keep them in there for hours, but I feel like if they keep you in there and they keep bugging you, you had nothing to do with it, and you're
Yeah.
just like, I didn't do it. Eventually, if you strip butt naked, they're gonna leave you alone.
Maybe, or they might be like, he did it. He's butt naked.
yeah, crazy.
Told you he was crazy.
Yep.
The average number of years served by exonerees, 14.
Damn.
14 years.
Wow.
The total number of years served by exonerees, in total, all of them together, 5,284 years.
Ooh.
The average age at the time of wrongful conviction is 26.6 years old.
But you want to know what's fucked up is some of these states have it to where if they like keep you put you in prison and you didn't do it, they got it to where they don't have to pay you nothing. You can't sue them.
Yeah.
Like we'll let you out, but you can't sue us.
It's ridiculous.
It's like, that's messed up.
So sick of this system.
The average age at exoneration is 43.
Damn.
So you get put in at 26.6 years old
Mhm.
and let out at 43. It's like your glory years.
I know.
Yeah.
43% of cases involved misapplication of forensic science. Oops.
Oops.
That's almost half. Almost half of the cases involved are, yeah, we kind of screwed up. We tested it with the wrong stuff. Sorry about that.
Well, we're going to keep you in here for another 8
Yeah.
years.
Yeah, trying to figure it out. So the number of actual assailants identified after someone was exonerated is 165. Those individuals were later convicted of 154 additional violent crimes, including 83 sexual assaults and 36 murders, while innocent people sat behind bars for their crimes.
Wow.
And that is your DNA evil facts for today.
I thought you had another one to do. With the gloves. I was so waiting on that one.
It'll happen soon.
I was so waiting on that one.
Well, okay then.
Let's get one more.
Is it OJ?
It's kind of.
Really?
It's about the masturbating midnight glove salesman. Andrew Blackbird was about to find himself amid a Halifax urban legend. He had just finished a bartending shift and his wife, who had planned to pick him up, had fallen asleep. All the cabs were taken. Then Blackbird's phone died, so he began walking home. Along the way, an SUV pulled up and offered him a ride. Once in the car, the driver began offering Blackbird leather gloves to try on, instructing him to make a fist to stretch out the leather. The man was rubbing his legs and breathing heavily and asked, How do they feel? It was Glove Guy, known for picking up men at night in Halifax, asking them to try on gloves and becoming a little too enthusiastic. Blackbird found dozens of complaints about Glove Guy on a Halifax subreddit, and one podcast interviewed 4 men who had confirmed that they too had encountered Glove Guy. But Blackbird was the only one to press charges. Murray Russell James, owner of Love the Gloves, pleaded guilty to committing an indecent act and was given a 30-day conditional sentence and a $100 fine. Though he maintained his only crime was trying to promote his business between the hours of 2 a.m. and 4 a.m.
Love the gloves.
Wow.
Try them on. Just imagine hitching a ride from some guy and he's like, won't you go ahead and put these gloves on?
Just put your fist in and stretch it out.
Make a fist. That's it. Do it again. Oh, you make me love the gloves. Okay.
Yeah.
So before we get into back into our Idaho story, did you guys see this woman in Portland, Oregon, the homeless lady who shoves the 3-year-old child onto the train tracks?
Oh, yeah.
I did.
Yeah. I mean, what the hell?
Wow.
The woman, later identified as Brianna Lace Workman, was sitting on a bench beside the good old train tracks, and a woman and her 3-year-old child are standing by the tracks. This lady just gets up, shoves the 3-year-old right down onto the tracks.
Yep.
Luckily, bystanders hurried and got the kid up before a train could come and squash him. But the child had a bump to the noggin.
Yeah.
And a couple little
A bump to the noggin.
scratches on its face, but
They should have thrown her onto the tracks.
Right.
yeah.
What a
She's,
psycho.
She's right now at the she's put up.
Yeah. That's what she gets.
She was arrested and charged with attempted assault in the 1st degree, assault in the 3rd degree, interfering with public transportation, disorderly conduct in the 2nd degree, and recklessly endangering another person.
And she'll be sentenced to 30 hours of community service.
Yeah, exactly. $100 fine.
Yeah.
She's currently being held without bond on the charges.
Crazy bitch.
Yeah, there's video of her like just standing up, giving the old child a little shove.
And she's not said a reasoning why.
No, just got up, pushed the kid, and sat back down. Like,
Wow.
I didn't do it.
that's where we're at in this crazy world.
Oh, yeah.
That's why you should always carry your gun.
Always. I concur.
Especially if you're a 3-year-old. Stand by the train tracks.
No. If mom would have had one, she could have went pow pow. Got her baby.
Yeah, pow pow.
Would she would have powed her before or after she got the baby?
Before.
Sometimes you got to act a little quicker than that. What if a train was coming at a high rate of speed?
As you're jumping onto the tracks, you turn around, pow pow.
like John Wick?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, it's Jason Bourne. So, without further ado, let's get into this huge breaking development in our Idaho case.
Yes.
Where we now have an arrested suspect. Are you ready?
Dustin's
Let's do
clueless.
it.
I mean,
I know all about this.
Do you?
I'm sure.
All right.
I've been reading.
Wow.
So they finally arrest this guy, Brian Koberger. And this kid is found in Pennsylvania.
Yep.
He's a 28-year-old student from Wazoo. Do we call it Wazoo?
A Wazoo?
The old Washington State University. Go Wildcats.
No.
Yeah.
No? Cougars?
I don't know.
Tigers?
Bears.
Anyways, he is a student there studying criminology, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this whole time, everybody has been bad-mouthing law enforcement, right?
Yep.
About, oh my God, they're botching this up. They don't have no suspects and none of this and blah, blah, blah.
I think we even did that.
Yeah, we might have. But lo and behold, the Idaho police department had a suspect pretty much this whole time. And we were all like, man, all they have is this information.
Yep.
And so they arrest this guy in Pennsylvania out of nowhere. This guy was never on anybody's radar outside of law enforcement, right? Everybody's like, it was this person, or you got to look at this and you got to look at that. And this arrest comes and everybody's like, what? Some dude in Pennsylvania.
And they went in guns a-blazing, too.
Oh, yeah. It was like 50
Yeah.
law enforcement.
And they, destroyed the house.
Yeah. That'll learn you. You kill 4 people, that'll learn you.
All right.
So he's arrested in Pennsylvania, and we have no details yet at the time of what linked this guy to the crimes.
Yeah.
And the reason is all that information is in an affidavit in Idaho.
Mm-hmm.
So until they get him back to Idaho, they couldn't release that affidavit with all this information in it. So they finally get him back, extradited back to Idaho, and this affidavit comes out. 19 pages of woe is all I can say. If you have not read through this affidavit, there is a ton of information. Now, I'm sure there's still plenty more that's going to come out.
Oh, I'm sure.
But just in the arrest affidavit, there is a lot of questions that we had answered now.
They said, back to the extradition, they said during him being extradited, he had to use the bathroom in the airport, and they evacuated the entire airport.
Oh,
he could
really?
go to the
I
bathroom.
didn't know that part.
They flew him on a, I don't want to say a private jet. It wasn't like a private jet. It was a private plane that the law enforcement uses, but they had to use a smaller plane, and they had to stop and refuel so often to get back to Idaho.
Oh, yeah.
It was
Really?
a smaller plane. And what's funny about that is this guy is to get things back to, you know, how they get him arrested in Pennsylvania. We'll get into the details of how they figured it out. It was him, but he was already on law enforcement's radar while he was in Idaho. So what this kid has his dad fly out to where he goes to school out there, because he goes to school in Washington State. These kids went to school at Idaho University. So, but they're only like 15 minutes apart, 15-minute drive. So they're close. I mean, it's like right next door.
Really?
Yeah. But this kid is going to go home for Christmas break, right? And he has his dad fly out to him so his dad can ride back to Pennsylvania with him.
Yeah.
And the reason he does that is because he doesn't like to fly. And we know this because during the trek from Washington State University back to Pennsylvania, he was pulled over twice in Indiana. Law enforcement pulled him over twice, and I was like, man, that's crazy. He got pulled over twice? What did he get pulled over for? Well, you know, what was it all about?
Yeah.
Well, it's come to light. The reason he was pulled over because there's body cam footage that's come out about this. And both times, him and his dad are like, oh, what are we being pulled over for? They're like, well, you was following too close. And I was like, when I first heard this, I was like, following too close? You pulled him over for that? Like, I could be pulled over for that, like, every time I'm on the road.
Oh, everybody here in Columbus.
But the truth is, the FBI had him pulled over twice in Indiana because they were basically tracking him back home. And the reason they pulled him over was to get body cam footage of him in the car, trying to get evidence of his hands.
Oh,
They were trying to see if he had cuts and scrapes and stuff on his hands. That's why they pulled him over. Yeah, crazy.
Yeah.
It's the craziest stuff. But like before that information came out, we were all like, you mean to tell me he was pulled over twice and they had no clue who this guy was? And they knew.
Yeah.
They was building a case, which is, with this day and age, with the internet sleuths out there, sometimes you just got to step back and let law enforcement do their job. And occasionally they get it right. And it looks like they're pretty much getting this one right.
Sounds like it.
But they were also pulled over in what? A white Elantra. The white Elantra.
Yes.
Hey, that's like a kick to the dick, though. They're like, hey, you're flying back. We ain't driving.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. But so during one of those traffic stops, the cop's like joking with him, like, which is, when you first see it and before you know that they know who he is and what they're doing, you're like, man, you're joking with a murderer, bro. But the cop's talking to him like, man, that's a long drive. What are you, scared to fly? and the guy's like, yeah, he doesn't like flying. And blah, blah, blah. Guess what? We're going to put you on a little tiny ass plane, fly you across the country.
Because those bounce more.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we're going to stop a couple times just so we have to take off again. So, a 19-page affidavit. I sat down, went all the way through it. A lot of information here. A lot of information. We're going to try and dissect some of it. I'm not going to read the whole thing to you because that would be boring. If you want to read the whole affidavit, you can find it anywhere online. But I just want to touch on a few of the ones that answered some of the questions that we had. And I want to start with basically where the bodies were found, basically. Because there was a lot of speculation. Where did he go first? Where did he go here? And how, were all these kids all in the door and nobody knew what was going on? We kind of get a little bit of an insight here. Like I said, there's still, I'm sure there's still information that we haven't heard.
Oh, I'm sure.
That's going to come out eventually. But just, in this affidavit, it basically is, it was written by, Brett Payne, who is with the Moscow Police Department. He's a corporal. So the affidavit is written by him. It's basically his statement. And like right off the bat, he talks about when he enters the home. So on November 13th of 2022, at approximately 4 p.m., he and another member of the Moscow Police Department, Sergeant Blaker, enter the residence. And he says they're walking through he's basically taking a walk through of the crime scene. They walked upstairs to the second floor, and that's where Xana and Ethan were staying. Now, this whole time, we were made to believe basically that the two surviving roommates were on the first floor. And the way that this kind of reads is that one of the survivors were actually on the second floor. I might be wrong, but that's the way this reads to me. Anyways, so they find Xana on the floor in her room. the door's open, that he can see her body on the floor. And, you know, she's got the wounds, the stab wounds from an edged weapon, basically, it says. Also in the room was a male later identified as Ethan Chapin, who was also deceased, with the same wounds, basically. And let's see here if I can scroll through this. From the second floor, he followed him upstairs to the third floor. Now, this is one of the first questions that we're going to get answered. The third floor consisted of 2 bedrooms, which we knew, and 1 bathroom.
Yep.
The bedroom on the west side of the floor was determined to be Kaylee's room. And that is where the dog was. The dog was locked in that room, was in Kaylee's room. So, you know, we were like, well, where was this dog at?
Right.
And he didn't have any evidence on it. He was in her room. So I don't know if maybe, you know, she was found in Madison's room with her. I wonder if she had just like gone over to hang out with her for a little bit or was talking with her, left the dog in her room, maybe, possibly.
Yeah.
Could have been.
Right.
Again, that's my part of speculation, but at least we know where the dog was. We were like, man, how does the dog go, you know, and doesn't bark? Well, we'll get into that as well. So they find Madison and Kaylee in Madison's room. Now, this is where we start to get some evidence. They find a tan leather knife sheath laying on the bed next to Kaylee. Or Madison. It was on Madison's bed. They find a knife sheath of a K-bar with a K-bar is a type of knife, military knife, with USMC stamped on it and the Marine Corps Eagle Globe logo stamped on the outside of the sheath. So they take this knife sheath and find a single source of male DNA left on the button snap of the knife sheath. There's your first screw up, Mr. Criminology.
Yes.
Mr. I'm studying how criminals do stuff. Well, criminals don't want to get away with stuff. Don't leave evidence at the scene, genius.
Right.
So he leaves this knife sheath. It's got his DNA on the button. The lab finds out that it's a male DNA, but they don't know whose yet.
Yeah.
Right. They're doing their interviews with the surviving roommates, and one of the roommates named Dylan she's a female, actually hears this because we're like, how did all this happen and nobody heard anything?
Yeah.
That's my question.
That's your question. I'm about to answer your question then. Dylan says that, you know, she was out that night as well, but she made it home like 1 o'clock. And she was in her room. She hears the others come home, go to their room. What's crazy is Zaina actually ordered a DoorDash that was delivered to the residence at around 4 a.m.
And I didn't even know DoorDash worked at those hours, you know?
Well, that's the thing is we were all like, they were probably killed around 3:15 or 3:30. She had a DoorDash delivered at 4 o'clock. So, Dylan actually is hearing some of this stuff.
Yeah.
You know, of them moving around at this time, and they find out that one of the girls were actually on TikTok at 4:12. in the morning, like going through her phone state or her phone records and stuff.
Yep.
They're able to tell that she was actually on her phone at that time. So, but here's this is absolutely creepy. Okay. Dylan says that she hears some motion in the house or whatever you want to call it. She hears something going on in the house around 4 a.m. And she said it sounded like Goncalves was playing with her dog in one of the upstairs bedrooms, which would have been on the third floor. A short time later, Dylan said she heard who she thought was Goncalves say something to the effect of, quote, "There's someone here." A review of the records obtained from a forensic download of Kernoodle's phone showed that she could also have been Kernoodle, as her cellular phone indicated she was likely awake and using TikTok, like I said, at approximately 4:12 a.m. Dylan stated she looked out of her bedroom but did not see anything when she heard a comment about someone being in the house. So she looks out the freaking door.
Yeah.
Dylan stated she opened her door a second time when she heard what she thought was crying coming from Zaina's room. Dylan then said she heard a male's voice say something to the effect of, quote, "It's okay, I'm going to help you." At approximately 4:17 a.m., a security camera located at 1112 King Road, which is that house, picked up distorted audio of what sounded like voices or a whimper followed by a loud thud. A dog can also be heard barking numerous times starting at 4:17 a.m. So the dog did bark.
Yeah.
Another question we had. The security camera is located less than 50 feet from the west wall of Zaina's bedroom. So that's where we were getting that. Dylan stated she opened her She opened her door for the third time. This is where it's going to get creepy. After she heard the crying and she saw a figure clad in black clothing and a mask that covered the person's mouth and nose walking towards her.
Ooh.
Dylan described the figure as around 5'10" or taller, a male, not very muscular, but athletically built with bushy eyebrows. The male walked past Dylan as she stood in a frozen shock phase. The male walked towards the back sliding glass door. And that was when Dylan locked herself in her room after seeing the male. She said she did not recognize the male, and this leads investigators to believe that the murderer left the scene.
But why only certain ones got?
Yeah.
Well, from what a lot of people are saying is that she's not standing outside of her door, like in the middle of the way, and this guy like edges past her, like, "Excuse me." From what they're saying is more than likely she was peeking out of her door and sees this guy walk like down past her room towards the sliding glass doors. Right.
Okay.
They're saying that it was more than likely pitch black.
Yeah.
You know, in the house, and she was like hidden in plain sight, and he walks right by her out of the house.
Wow.
But she was face to face with this dude.
Terrible.
Now, there's still questions. There's still going to be questions of, you know, she sees all this happen. Not really in terms of she knows that somebody's been killed, but she sees a stranger in her house that, you know, that's walking around with a mask on and leaves. Why didn't she call 911 then?
Right.
True.
But then you have to also think that, you know, this is a house that had frequent visitors, people in and out all the time.
She's probably just shocked too. You
maybe
know?
it was fear. Or maybe there was all kinds of, you know, issues or whatever. During the processing of the crime scene, investigators found a shoe print, the good old bloody shoe print, that was from a Vans type of shoe. Had the diamond pattern on the bottom.
Yeah.
So, again, we were like, this guy didn't leave any prints or anything.
Right.
Just because they don't tell us everything they found, we can't assume they don't have it. Because clearly, in this case, they had it.
Right.
So, again, during this investigation, we have DNA, but we don't know who it matches to yet. And we have, an eyewitness that sees this guy, but he had a mask on. So you're still in the dark, basically. Right. Well, this leads to the investigators doing an extensive search, commonly referred to in law enforcement as a video canvas, where they go around the neighborhood right there and try and get any video footage, surveillance footage or whatever,
right,
in that area.
Yeah.
By doing so, that's how we get the white Hyundai Elantra. They're like, they see this vehicle that acts kind of strange, during this time.
Yeah.
Basically, they see a white Hyundai try to pull into where they would park to go into this house. And he does like a weird 3-point turn and gets out of there and then pulls down the street and then turns up. And so he's like going up behind the house.
Yeah.
And then around 4:20, they see this car basically speed out of the neighborhood. So that's where they started looking for this white Hyundai Elantra. That's going to lead us to how we go about finding out who this guy is.
Yeah.
The law enforcement put out the whole, hey, there's a white Hyundai Elantra we're looking for between these years. And there was people like, it wasn't an Elantra, it was this kind of car and it was that kind of car. They knew what they was looking for.
Right.
Okay. Again, just because they don't tell us doesn't mean they're not doing their jobs.
Right.
So they put out that thing about, if anybody has any information about why Hyundai Elantras, they're traveling this route, and this, that. Well, the Washington State University campus is approximately 10 miles from Moscow, Idaho, right? That's Pullman. Well, that's what they call it, is Pullman. That's where it is. It's Pullman, Washington. So they're small college towns, and they say people go back and forth between these two towns all the time. Like the students in Washington State will travel to Moscow, Idaho, because they say, quote, the shopping's better, and they got better places to eat, better places to hang out, whatever.
Yeah.
So they share that information with Washington State, and the guys from Washington State start, do we have any white Hyundai Elantras? And they're going through this. Well, then they start going through their video surveillance, and they find during that night,
right,
there was a white Hyundai Elantra driving around that disappeared at a certain time and comes back at a certain time.
Yeah.
So they finally get a license plate on this. Okay. And this has a Pennsylvania license plate. They look it up, find out it's this Brian Kohlberger, and they pull up the picture of this guy. Sure enough, skinny guy, tall guy, bushy eyebrows.
Yep.
They're like, well, okay. So again, this is behind the scenes when everybody was going, they don't even know. It's going to be a cold case. They don't even know what's going on.
Right.
So, you can't just make an arrest off the fact that you got bushy eyebrows and you was driving this car.
Yeah.
And they can't tip this guy off by saying, we need you to submit your DNA.
Yeah.
They're going to get their DNA.
Right.
All this guy has to do now is slip up, and he will. So, they start tracking this car, right? And they're going back in their archive footage and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it comes to find out that this Brian Kohlberger had driven this car to that area by where the slayings took place in Moscow, like 12 or 13 times. He made like 12 or 13 trips.
Wow.
Basically canvassing the house. And this was all done in like the early morning hours and stuff.
So he wanted to kill them.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he had this planned out. Can you say first degree murder?
Oh, yeah.
Capital.
First degree capital murder.
First degree.
They have the death penalty in Idaho also.
While they're, now that they have the car with the license plate and the guy, we know that they start looking into, who this kid is. They find out that he was pulled over on August 21st.
Mm-hmm.
He was pulled over for, I believe it was speeding. And he had his Pennsylvania license plates on. And during the traffic stop, which they have body camera of, he provides his phone number. So now they have his phone number.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure they could have found it some other way, but now they have his phone number, which leads them to do a little bit of investigating on his phone, right? Now, here's what's crazy. That's how they find out that he had visited that area like 13 times, is because they can track his phone. It was pinging off the towers in that area. So it covers that small vicinity.
Right.
Well, this guy, he's smart enough to get himself in trouble. So what he does is they're like, okay, well, we know his phone number. We know we can track his whereabouts during the times of these murders to pin it on him.
Yeah.
This guy turns his phone off at a certain time and turns it back on after these murders. So there's a gap where it's not pinging off at any towers.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, the obvious is you turned your phone off and then turned it back on after you left that area.
If he was smart, wouldn't he have just left his phone at wherever?
At the college.
Yeah.
Yeah. What? He thought he had it all figured out.
I guess.
Or if they know did they know he was there that many times from the amount of times his phone pinged there?
Probably that and the cameras.
It's like every time you went and canvassed, you should have just left your phone at the college. Fucking idiot.
Yeah.
Maybe he was just building up to it.
God.
So, so now they have video evidence of his car being there that night. They can basically use the evidence that he turned his phone off, between the hours or the time frame of these murders.
Right.
Then they have footage of him pulling back into the campus that night. So, it's all piling up, but we still have that DNA, right?
Yep.
Well, what gets this kid, the DNA, they followed him back home to Pennsylvania, right? And he's staying at his parents' house. So what they do is kind of like watching like the CSI shows. One night, and they're watching this kid do weird stuff. They've got eyes on him. They're watching him. They watched him come out of his house, out of his parents' house at like 4 a.m. And instead of putting the trash from the house in their trash can, he sneaks over and puts it in the neighbor's trash can. Goes back into the house.
So he must have known they were watching them.
Well, I'm sure he started getting some ideas of, man, you know, maybe I didn't. I'm sure he thought at one time, like, damn, I done left that knife sheath there.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Or, you know, I left some kind of evidence there of some sort. Well, they see him put this trash bag into the neighbor's trash can.
Mm-hmm.
So what they've done is they've went and got their trash and ran DNA on their trash, which comes back as a match for the DNA on the button of the knife sheet. Now they've got him.
Yep.
So they have enough, and like you said, they brought the thunder, Brody. They brought them.
Yep.
They made their arrest with like 50 agents, tore the house up looking for evidence.
Yep.
So that's basically where we are now with what we know. There's some other information in the affidavit. Like I said, if you want to read the whole thing, you can find it basically anywhere online. You can read the actual affidavit from page 1 to page 19.
Yep.
But we answered quite a few questions.
Oh, for sure.
You know,
I'm sure there'll be a lot more by the next episode.
Absolutely.
Yes.
But it's kind of neat how you see how the forensics works.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
You know, this is a kid that is studying criminology.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some creepy stuff that's come out about that as well, where they're saying there's a Reddit thread out there where he claims that he was doing a project because he went to school in like DeVry or DeSales in Pennsylvania, college in Pennsylvania. And during that time, he said he was doing a project on how the criminal mind works. And he had put up a Reddit of how do criminals choose their victims and stuff like that. So there's a lot of creepy things that this guy has done.
Right.
To try and like build himself, basically build himself up to the ultimate crime.
Right.
But during the time as well, before these murders happened, there were some strange crimes happening in that area where people were saying that somebody had broke into their house but didn't take anything, or they'd come home to their front door wide open where somebody had been in the house.
Maybe it was him practicing.
Yeah, basically like doing some dry runs.
Yeah.
Like working himself up to it. I mean, it hasn't been proven that it was him that did this, but
makes sense.
There's a lot of strange happenings just before this murder happens of stuff like that. Like who breaks into a house and doesn't take anything?
Oh, yeah.
Creepy.
Yeah, it is.
Getting that practice on.
Yes. Well, guess we'll have to see how this turns out.
I look, the only downside to this whole thing, and it sucks that it's to say it like that, but the downside to it is he's saying it wasn't him. It's not me. I'm going to be exonerated. It's not me. He still thinks he's smarter than the science, basically. Because he's not coming out like, yeah, you got me. And what sucks about that is we may never know why.
Yeah.
We may never know why he picked these kids. How they even got on his radar. I mean, we don't know. Again, maybe some more information will come out. Hopefully it does, because I'm sure there's a lot of questions that not only us as people on the sidelines want to see, but I'm sure their parents would really like to know why their children were the ones that were picked that night.
Right.
Yep.
But that's the downside to it of him playing his innocence thing instead of just coming out saying, yeah, I did it and this is why I did it.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah.
You don't want to get executed.
He gonna get it though. He gonna get. I think he gonna get it. There's a lot of pressure on this one.
There is.
There ain't gonna be no deal struck.
Nope.
And I think that that is why the Moscow Police Department and the feds played this investigation the way they did. Was they didn't jump the gun and, put this guy's name out and put out, more information than they needed to.
Right.
They played the investigation right to where they actually built a case before they even put this guy on the radar.
Yep.
Right.
And I think that is them saying, basically going for the fact of, dude, you're gonna face the punishment for this. Because now with this is a nationwide freaking story.
Yep.
There's gonna be a lot of pressure on this dude getting the death penalty.
Oh yeah.
They ain't gonna be able to move it because everybody already knows about it.
Well, I'm sure they're gonna try to, because the reason I think that they'll try to move the trial outside of that area is, number one, Idaho, that Moscow, Idaho is a college town full of college kids who are, very well acquainted with the story.
Yeah.
Who may know these kids, who may have seen them on campus. There's going to be some kind of emotional attachment to them. These are just kids at our school that.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't know. But we're gonna see.
Yep.
There's still. I'm telling you, this is just the tip of the iceberg. I think. They gave us just enough information on why they arrested him. And I'm sure there's a lot more.
Oh yeah.
But they still haven't found the murder weapon. That's still out there. There's still a couple pieces that they got to put together. Well, they may, like I said, again, they may have already put it together. We just don't know.
True.
They just put out enough to say, hey, gotcha. I'm going to put you behind bars now.
Yep.
But the guy in charge of the jail he's at, they interviewed him, and he's like, he's innocent until proven guilty. That's how the Constitution works. He said, so he's going to be treated just like any other visitor to our jail. I'm thinking, yeah, right.
Yeah,
yeah, right, buddy.
Exactly.
It is, to me, though, the funniest part of this whole thing is them flying back from Pennsylvania to Moscow. Now, granted, they had to.
Yeah.
They had, that's how an extradition works. They're going to try and get him there the fastest, safest way they can. But it's just funny that the dude doesn't like to fly. They're like, we're going to put you on that pack of gum with 8 people on it.
Yes.
I hope it scared the hell out of him.
Oh, yeah.
But I seen TikTok, and you can't take a whole lot of stuff out of TikTok. This, if anything, this will show you can't take a whole lot of stuff that's put on TikTok and use it as actual evidence or whatever. But I seen a video that was kind of like, that's strange. They had footage of the vigil that they held for the students. Have you guys seen this? And there's a guy that walks across the screen, and it looks just like this dude.
Really?
Yeah. So the thing is, they're saying that they think that he was at the vigil.
Wow.
Like, watching everything.
I'll have to look that up.
But he did drive by so they pinged his cell phone. He drove by the house the morning that they discovered the bodies. So that, November 13th, he comes back, drives back by that house after he'd committed the murders. And the police are all there. He drives by the house. Returning to the scene of the crime.
A lot of them do that.
Yeah.
True.
But I can't wait to find out more.
Yep, me too.
You got anything, Dustin?
No.
Huh.
I don't. Rex does, though.
Well, let's see here. I guess you could go to our Facebook page, give us a like. Any comments, questions, or ideas, you can email us at eviltransgression@gmail.com.
And You can go leave us some reviews. Reviews help. They really do. And you guys are slacking, so I'm calling you out.
Huh.
Let's get them.
This is coming from the guy that's the ultimate slacker.
Shh. Shut your dirty mouth. Shut that dirty mouth of yours.
Hold on.
You're the slack master.
So, what do you got, Josh?
I leave you with this. A quote from Robert Frost that says, "A jury consists of 12 persons chosen to decide who has the best lawyer."
That is true.
Yes.
So until next time,
See ya.
See ya.
peace.